Back in the days when I was a kid, in the early 90s, we had our first cable. This was the first time I was able to see American TV shows, especially cartoons. I didn't understand a word because they were all in a language I did not understand, but I was fascinated by them. They were unlike anything I've seen before. After several weeks, I started to notice a pattern in some of the cartoons, even though they took place in different places with different casts. The animation was the same. It was very lame looking, full of technical errors, very simplified, and not very, for lack of a better term, animated. Until then, I thought that all American animation looks like the couple of Disney movies I've seen, but these shows were more primitive. Primitive but charming. This was when I first have met Filmation. A few years later I found out that they have done even an animated Star Trek show, what I've accidentally found it during channel watching. After seeing the whole show, the only thing I remembered about the series was that it wasn't very good, to say it as politely as possible. Many years later I found out that it's out on DVD. I bought the box set immediately and watched the show as soon as possible. And yes, I again thought it's not very good. So now it's out on Blu-ray, which is for me another chance to watch the complete series, and also a good opportunity to use it as a basis for my quick thoughts on series. So without further ado, let's take a look at the first episode, Beyond the Farthest Star. While on a star charting mission, the Enterprise suddenly experiences something which Spock can describe only as hypergravity. The ship is quickly being pulled to a near-dead star, but manages to achieve a standard orbit, and there they find a huge ancient spaceship, which apparently should be both wonderful and advanced. Now, this is a fine example of what I consider to be a huge problem in the animated series, but also in some later live-action series: the design. What I consider to be a good design? Well, let's, for example, take a look at the Enterprise. We know that the ship has a section where the crew works, a section where the crew lives, a shuttle bay, and two powerful engines which can warp space. You usually want the area where the crew will work divided from the area where the crew will live. The shuttle bay should be somewhere where the shuttle could safely land and keep the engines as far from the sections where the humans are as possible. So not only the Enterprise looks good, her design also makes perfect sense. However, what are we looking at when we see this thing? The design makes no sense to me, and that's the problem with basically all of the designs in the animated series. They seem to be absolutely random and not logical. Back to the story. To be more precise, back to story number 2. Story number 1 is the crew on their mission and being pulled to the dead star. Story number 2 is the crew examining the old ship. Because the ship appears to be sending radio messages, Kirk decides it's a good idea to beam to the ship with a landing party. And this is when we meet our next stupid thing: a life support belt. Seriously, how stupid is this? What advantages does it have compared to a normal spacesuit? Let's assume now that Starfleet has invented some new technology which allows you to create your own force field, which adapts to the current shape of your body and allows you to freely move and touch things. Would you really use it? I mean, what if the tiny little thing malfunctions. So what if somebody rips it off your body, either accidentally or on purpose? What if there is a power failure and the bolt loses energy? I would definitely not want to use it and risk an explosive decompression. What's wrong with good old spacesuits? I don't know if this is an example of a stupid design or an example of animator laziness. I mean, I assume it would be easier to just draw a yellow outline around the characters, but Filmation manages to screw up even such an easy task. Anyway, our heroes find out that every pod, for lack of a better term, was burst open from the inside. So if you're like me and are hoping for an animated version of the Alien Chestbuster, nope, it just means that the crew destroyed their own ship. The heroes go inside this weird thing, which apparently is magnificent, and then the episode tries to give you seizure. I'm serious, I had serious problems watching this scene. I felt like I will pass out any moment. They find a recording of a bug-eyed monster, which tells them that the ship was invaded by a strange life form, and they indeed destroyed their own ship, when suddenly everything starts to explode, including the air. Anyway, Mr. Kyle transports them back, but they are not alone. Some green gas creature was transported on the Enterprise. Kirk tries to beam it back, but they get attacked and the gas creature takes over the Enterprise. So story number 3 starts, and the episode is now about the Enterprise crew trying to get the creature off the ship. The first thing the creature does is take control of the engine room and almost kills Scotty, and then it destroys the other ship using the Enterprise phasers. Scotty and McCoy go to the bridge, and even this insignificant scene is made fascinating. The turbo lift door opens, they come in, and in the next shot the door is closed, even though we didn't see or hear it closing. In the next shot, in which we see the door, it's again open for no reason at all. Seriously, how can you screw up continuity in an animated show where you have full control about everything? I would understand if these things would happen in some of the final episodes where the animators were tired and rushing to deliver the episodes as fast as possible. But this is literally the first episode they made, the season opener, and it's full of these problems. And I didn't even talk about things like characters in physically impossible positions or characters without certain body parts. Seriously, what happened? Did I think that it's just a dumb kids show, so they don't have to care? You may think that I'm actively searching for things like this, but no. These are only a few of the examples which actively take me out of the story, and all the episodes are full of things like this. The creature, thanks to the Enterprise computers, knows how to communicate in English, so it demands the crew to obey. But nobody messes with Kirk. He outsmarts the creature, pretends he wants to crash the ship into the planet. The creature gets scared, leaves the Enterprise, and then something happens. I'm not really sure. The Enterprise kind of phases out. The screen goes black and suddenly the Enterprise is away from the star and the creature is captured on the star. I think they mentioned the slingshot effect, so I guess that's what I think they've shown us. And the Enterprise continues on the charting mission. Oh boy, what a mess. Usually a 50 minutes long Star Trek story as a main story, and sometimes also a B story, which is later somehow connected to the main A story. Now, in this 20-something minutes long episode, they try to do 3 stories, and they are not really connected. It feels like you're watching 3 different 5 minutes long cartoons. Nothing is developed because they don't have enough time for it. And instead of developing characters, they try to shove in it as much shit as possible. The thing which annoys me the most is the thing that this story has a lot of potential and could be really, really good. I can imagine this being a really great 50 minutes long Star Trek story, maybe even a 2-parter. But the short running time kills it for me, and this is a typical problem with most of the animated episodes. Another huge problem is the lack of something from the animators. I'm not sure if that something is a lack of talent or lack of care, but it's typical for Filmation animation. I would give this episode only 4 out of 10. Thankfully they got much better, and next week's episode was much, much better. Maybe because the writer of the next episode was DC Fontana, and she definitely knows how to write good character-driven episodes. Anyway, as always, these were just my opinions, and feel free to write your own opinions down in the comment section. If you do like these little reviews, even though I don't like to use this term for my videos, I do them every week, usually on Thursdays or Fridays, unless I have some real life issues that week. I do also different kinds of videos. Feel free to watch any of the videos on my channel, and if you like this video, see you next week when I'm going to talk about the episode Yesteryear. Thanks a lot for watching. Bye.